What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Corner Show. Starting me, Higher Thinking, of the Chicago Black Delegation podcast. And on today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at some current business that's been going on in Virginia. They are actually doing something pretty irreprehensible, if you ask me, regarding the naming of monuments that's going on, that's down there, that's been historically renamed from Confederate generals and who are, like, I don't like look I don't respect these people. I don't even know their names, but these are Confederate army leaders and stuff like that, generals and such. And then America doing the right thing, they dishonor them by changing their name. Changing the names of these monuments to more prolific, more American names and soldiers. You know what I mean? And names of soldiers that are very much so worth the decoration. You know. So, so let's kind of get into what we're kind of talking about here. Definitely take a look at Black home educators. She definitely been putting in a lot of work as far as educational content that is useful, I would argue. Definitely keeping an eye on Senate hearings, Department of Justice hearings, and things of that nature. Definitely need to be keeping this stuff in your rotation. At the very least, weekly rotation. You know what I'm saying? So let's check it out.
That these four patriots were not worthy enough to have their names on a base.
Well, Senator, as you know, this was never about the names of the bases they were renamed to.
So you don't challenge the worthiness.
Restoring all bases to their original name. We're not about erasing.
Okay,
history.
you wanted to.
So he said all the bases instead of just four of them. Let's do a little bit of a let's kind of go back into like some of the nuances so we kind of understand what's kind of going on. Now, back in 2022, there was some bases in I believe they were all in Virginia that were again renamed from their Confederate former names into again more prolific, more honorable names. You know, obviously because these are American soldiers and not Confederate Army rebels. Anyway, so let's kind of again. October 12, 2022, Defense Secretary Lloyd J. Hudson III has approved renaming 9 military bases and eliminating more than 1,100 other assets honoring the Confederacy. It's good stuff. In a memo released last week, Austin said the Defense Department had accepted naming commission final recommendations for a revision of various military elements. Congress created the commission to wipe Confederate States of America references from United States military assets. I fully support the efforts and recommendations of the Naming Commission on the important matter. I am committed to implementing all of the Commission's recommendations as soon as possible, Austin said in the memo. The installations and facilities that our department operates are powerful public symbols of our military, he added. The names of the installations and facilities should inspire all those who call them home, fully reflect the history and the values of the United States, and commemorate the best of the republic that we all are sworn to protect. There's a 90-day waiting period for implementing the commission recommendations, but Austin said he wants all changes by January 1st, 2024. Austin directed the relevant departments to start making the changes that aren't subject in a 90-day waiting period, including the Pentagon's memorialization and naming process. A working group led by the Under Secretary of Defense for Cohesion and Sustainment will oversee fully realizing the Commission's suggestions. The 8-member naming commission had until October 1st for its final proposals. Commissioners spent 18 months reviewing hundreds of Department of Defense assets, referencing the Confederacy, including installations, ships, monuments, symbols, and campaign streamers. The group's findings appeared in 3 reports. The first report, called Renaming 9 Army Bases, currently mentioning senior Confederate officers, which is crazy that it took this long for this type of a change. Like, I don't know. It's like I don't know, man. I gotta stop for a second. Like the blatant disrespect towards like Black Americans is just already insane. But like they're essentially disrespecting themselves, knowing that how like problematic of a time period, even outside of slavery. You know what I mean? That was a time where the South rebelled against the North and didn't and refused to send assets the way that the Union needed those assets to be sent. So that was like kind of the purpose of the Civil War, was to again unionize the states, but also so that motherfuckers start sending money properly. But yes, the end of the abolishment of slavery came along with that. So where I live off at? The renaming effort cost us $62.5 million, which should be noteworthy as well. The department's implementation of the commission's recommendations will give proud new names that are rooted in their local communities and that honor American heroes whose valor, courage, and patriotism exemplify the best of the United States military, Austin wrote. I very much so agree. Those bases include Alabama's Fort Rucker becoming Fort Novosel in honor of Chief Warrant Officer Fort Michael J. Novosel Sr., Georgia's Fort Benning changing to Fort Moore in honor of Lieutenant General Hal Moore and his wife Julia, and Fort Gordon switching to Fort Eisenhower in honor of President and former Army General Dwight Eisenhower. Louisiana Fort Polk becoming Fort Johnson in honor of Sergeant William Henry Johnson. North Carolina's Fort Bragg shifting to Fort Liberty in honor of the American value of liberty. Texas Fort Hood transitioning to Fort Cavalos in honor of General Richard E. Cavalos. Virginia's Fort A.P. Hill switching to Fort Walker in honor of Dr. Mary Edwards Walker. Fort Lee morphing into Fort Gregg Adams in honor of Lieutenant General Arthur J. Gregg and Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams. And Fort Pickett becoming Fort Barfoot in honor of Technician Sergeant T. Barfoot. At least one installation commemorating Confederate general wasn't in the commission's recommendations. Camp Beauregard in Pineville, Louisiana refers to PGT Beauregard, but because of Louisiana National Guard owns the base, it was outside of federal commission's purview, which is Louisiana. Man, Louisiana just keeps taking L's, bro. Despite this, the Louisiana Guard asked the public to submit new names and formed its own committee of military, local, and state officials to review potential replacements. Okay, all right. What they say with it, cool. So yeah, that was pretty much what happened again in 2022 under the Biden administration, and let's kind of get back into what this whole commotion is about.
You don't care about their military record. You wanted to restore the Confederate names. When you called the Gregg family to tell them that their dad's name was no longer going to be on the base, what was their reaction?
Senator, the Army notified them of that.
You didn't call any of the families, and I've spoken with the families, and the families were called by the press.
So real quick, let's talk about, let's just kind of show you who Gregg is. I'm not going to go through all of this stuff, but Gregg was born in 1928 in Florence County, North Carolina. Died in 2024. Branch, he was in the United States Army. Commands Deputy Chief Staff Logistics, Director of Logistics, Joint Chief of Staff, Deputy Chief of Staff Logistics Headquarters, USA EU. I don't know what that is. USA EUR, and 7th Army Commander, European Exchange System, Nabolanak Army Department, Deport, Germany, 96 Quartermaster, Direct Support Battalion, Vietnam. Was awarded Defense Distinguished Service Medal, Army Distinguished Service Medal, Legion of Merit with 3 oak leaf clusters. Very decorated individual, very praiseworthy. They had the nerve to change the name of this of the monument that he was that was named after him, and without telling the family at that. So that's like extremely disrespectful in my opinion, especially with him being as honorable as he actually is. So let's keep let's keep it going.
That's how they learned about this. They learned about it from the press. You didn't call the Barfoot family, the Gregg family, and you didn't call the Adams family.
So Adams, let me see. Yeah, no, that's not it. So Charity Adams, and this is a black woman actually, and this is another one. This one, Charity Adams was, I guess, she was joint named with the other individuals I just read. Arthur Gregg, what is his name? Yeah, Arthur J. Gregg. I'm sorry, and like yes, again, they're another very decorated, soldier. So, birth name Charity Edna Adams, born in December 5th, 1918, died January 13, 2002, at 83 in Dayton, Ohio. Obviously she's American. Branch Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, the United States Army. Years of service 1942 to 46. Rank Lieutenant Colonel, Unit 3rd Company, 3rd Training Regiment, WAAC, Fort Des Moines. Commands 68 88th Central Postal Directly Battalion. Awards Ohio Women's Hall of Fame, the Smithsonian Institutions, and one of the most important black women in history. South Carolina Black Hall of Fame, Service to Community Awards, Senior Citizens Gold Watch Awards, Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame, honorary doctorates from Wilberforce University and University of Dayton, namesake of Fort Gregg Adams. So, like again, she shared the name of one of the government monument. This is something I just peeped here. Smithsonian Institution is one of the most important black women in history. I want to take a look at this someday soon, because this is gonna help me with those. This is gonna help me in those conversations I had with those these niggas in these Facebook groups that don't think black women help with anything. So I think that's definitely some pretty good ammo. Just keep going.
I told the families I'd ask you about this today. In fact, 2 of General Gregg's granddaughters, Avery and Sydney, are right here in the audience, and I want to ask you this as I close. While you announced that these brave men and women's names would be stripped from the Virginia bases, no orders to that effect have been received by the base commanders. In light of the patriotic service of Van Barfoot, Arthur Gregg, Charity Adams, and Mary Walker, I'd like to ask you simply not to issue the orders changing the names of these Virginia bases. These families, my Commonwealth, are very proud of these heroes, very satisfied with these names, and ask you not to change them. Will you honor these exemplary patriots and keep their worthy names in places on the bases they loved and where they served?
All right. So I want to talk a little bit about Tim Kaine here. Like I said, I think this is a relatively very well crafted speech here, putting the pressure on Pete Hegseth. So I think it was very informational, very straightforward, to the point, clear and concise, all of the above. So let's kind of take a look at who he actually is. Just very briefly. So Tim Kaine, United States Senator from Virginia. So hometown Richmond, Virginia, born February 26, 1958. His wife is Ann. Children, Nat, Woody, and Nelia. Education, University of Missouri, Harvard Law School. Sworn in 2013. Tim Kaine has served people throughout his life as a missionary, civil rights lawyer, teacher, and elected official. He is one of the few dozen people in American history to have served as a mayor, governor, and United States senator. So then they kind of go into it about his early commitment to public service, his family life, early career, elected office, how the impact he does in the Senate. And voting record is pretty important here. It's a good idea to be checking out these different senators and politicians' voting record to see where you could to have kind of help you understand where their allegiance lie for the most part. Legislation, the committee assignments, pretty important stuff. So he has some pretty good information on his internet site, and this is something I do kind of recommend people to kind of do. Like all of these politicians, they do have these internet sites that tell you all about themselves as politicians. And before you kind of just vote blue no matter who, it is a good idea to have a good understanding of the values of these politicians, but not just the values, not just the policies that they promote, but actually you just get to understand how they prioritize these policies as well. So all that's a lot of these, some of these things and more can be found again on their websites. So let's get back to the video.
Senator, we very much thank and appreciate them for their service, and we'll find ways to recognize them, but the orders will soon be going to those bases to change the names back to the original name that never should have been changed.
But you
Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So this gentleman that just said that nonsense, saying that, okay, after everything he just said, that he just simply said, we'll find something else to do with it. We'll find other ways to honor him. But it's not going to be taking the place of the names of these Confederate soldiers, which is, again, I just have no idea why we feel the need to honor some rebels, some people that again want to keep black people in chains and stuff like that. It just kind of speaks to what we kind of dealing with as a nation during this current administration. So anyway, House was this? I forget what HON stands for. But anyway, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. A little bit about him. The Honorable Pete Hegseth is the 29th Secretary of Defense, sworn in January 25th, 2025, a graduate of Princeton University in 2003. Hegseth was commissioned as an infantry officer in the United States Army National Guard. He participated in a number of active duty deployments during his time in service, including operations in Guantanamo Bay, Iraq, and Afghanistan. So obviously he's a Republican, and obviously he's kind of a jerk, to put it nicely, because again he refuses to dismiss this proposal by whomever the fuck commissioned this to change the names of these monuments back into their original racist rooted names. So it's very, very fucking unfortunate. It's extremely disgusting in my opinion.
have the power to not send those orders. They haven't gone out yet, correct?
Thank you, Senator. Your time has expired.
Well, there you go. So anyway, very unfortunate news to the families who are related to those very honorable soldiers that fought bravely, and you have my deepest sympathies in this whole matter. Again, this is about as disgusting as it gets. Honestly, it just truly is. I didn't think we had to have a conversation like this. I didn't think we had to explain to people that a group of people, an army as hateful as the Confederate Army, needed any sort of defense to any capacity. I didn't know we had to have that conversation. I didn't know we had to explain to people that these people are bad people, they're racist, they were rebels, and they did not want what was best for the country. So it's just for them to put all this effort into renaming these monuments from their more honorable replacement names into this, filth is just completely fucking disgusting. And I just showed you all that it costed the country $62 million to change the names from the Confederate names, the Confederate Army names, into the newer instated names. Again, $62 million, and they're willing to spend that much money to at least that much money to replace re-replace those names back to their original racist names. So that's I think that's completely disgusting. And I think people in Virginia need to voice their opinions about that, especially the ones that are not racist, right? But also the Black Americans as well, because again, this civil rights thing is very much so, this is something that we all had to deal with. So anyway, again, hats off to the families that are going to be affected by this decision. And I hope y'all find peace sometime soon. It's been hard thinking of Chicago Black Delegation podcast. I catch you on the flip side.